If you're looking to add 20 to 30 wheel horsepower to your 2015 through 2020 Charger Hellcat at home with one simple modification without even changing the tune, then you should definitely consider adding JLT's cold air system that we're talking about here today. Now, JLT does utilize a rotomolded plastic construction for the tube itself, along with the heat shield, and then finally tops everything off with a massive 6x9-inch S&B high flow reusable oiled filter, all for right around that high $400 price point. Now, as far as features go, well, obviously the biggie here is going to be more power through a more efficient design that ultimately will increase the airflow into your supercharged 6.2-liter V8. Now, JLT claims nearly a 25% increase in airflow, which in turn will lead to gains of as much as 30 to 35 horsepower and 15 to 20 pound-feet of torque, according to JLT. Now, on top of the awesome power gain here, guys, Hellcat owners can also look forward to things like a little bit more blower whine under acceleration, and it's something that is going to be echoed in the customer review section of the product page. So if you haven't checked that out, please do so. It's always great to hear from fellow Hellcat owners about their experience after the install. Now, the Hellcat specific kit that we have here today is going to combine JLT's massive rotomolded plastic intake tube. In fact, it will start about 6 inches at the filter side before smoothly tapering down to 4.5 inches at the throttle body side. Now, this is going to allow this intake basically to work with either stock or aftermarket throttle bodies. Now, Hellcat owners can also look forward to a massive reusable oiled filter. The oiled filter is washable, it is reusable, so that is going to save you some money in the long run, instead of replacing those cheaper paper element filters every 10 to 15,000 miles or so. Now, on top of that, oiled filters typically do flow a little bit better compared to a dry filter, as they utilize oil to capture the dirt and dust particles as opposed to using a denser filter material. Now, the only drawback with that oiled construction is that they do require a little bit more maintenance, basically in the form of cleaning and re-oiling, but that's something that happens basically every 50 to 100,000 miles, depending on your driving conditions. Now, that oiled filter is going to be isolated thanks to the included molded air box, which will help in reducing intake air temperatures by sealing to the underside of your factory or aftermarket hood. Now, again, the JLT kit here will replace the stock sealed enclosure with an open box design that will allow Hellcat owners to really hear that factory or aftermarket blower when getting on the car. Certainly going to be whining a lot more than it did before, and that is something that you might lose track of if you do have a sealed air box on your ride. Now, coming in at or around that high $400 price point, the JLT will be sandwiched right in the middle of a few other kits here on the site, such as the K&N and Flowmaster options on the lower side. And then, of course, you have options from AFE, for instance, which will round out the higher side of the price spectrum. So priced right in the middle, certainly not a bad deal. Very, very high quality stuff here from the gang at JLT. But let's get into the installation here, guys. Honestly, cold airs will be one of the easier things you'll ever install on your Hellcat at home, even if you're a complete novice mechanic. So because of that, we're gonna stick with a 1 out of 3 wrench rating on the difficulty meter, maybe 45 minutes to an hour, give or take, over your time to get everything in place. Tools needed for the job will include a basic socket set, along with a flat and Phillips head screwdriver, and finally a lighter or heat gun. But now let's throw it to an AmericanMuscle customer for a detailed walkthrough.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm going to be installing a JLT intake on a 2019 Dodge Charger Hellcat. I'm going to go step by step, and yeah, we'll show you guys how to remove the stock airbox assembly and install the new JLT intake. Stay tuned. All right guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the stock airbox assembly from the throttle body forward. I like to use power tools. I just have a 90-degree 12 volt, or you can use a 5/16 nut driver, whatever personal preference you have on it. So we're going to start by unplug the mouse sensor. There you go, here. And then we're going to go ahead and alright, so got one bolt there. And let's see. Loosen this guy. Pull the lid off first. Right here by the fender. we're removing the bolts here. So loosen up the clamps. You got your 3 bolts that hold the air box, okay, and that just clips in there. You got the 1 bolt that holds the front of the air box, all right? So now we should be able to remove the top lid. All right, so we got that out of the way, okay? You also got to remove this tube here, this vent tube right here. So you have to, what I like to do, I think there's probably different ways. What I like to do is heat this up. You can like cut it, but then you can never reuse it. So I'm gonna use just like a little torch, mini torch to heat this up. It'll expand it a little bit and we should be able to pull it right off. So I just got my little mini torch here. Okay, so I'm just gonna heat it up a little bit. You don't wanna go crazy because you don't wanna burn stuff. Takes a little bit of strength here. All right, let's try it now. All right, that guy's definitely on there. All right, guys. So yeah, just use a little bit of heat with a torch. You heated the end up right here. You got to kind of work it as you're heating it, and then it should just pull off. You got to use a little bit of force, but it does come off. All right, guys. So the next step we're gonna do, we got the top of the air box out, and we're gonna pull the filter out here. Okay, put it off to the side, and then we got to pull the bottom. There's a bottom housing. We're gonna pull that bottom housing out. So right here, the duct that comes from the front bumper that feeds it air right there. That one. There's 4 little pinches right here. 1 on top, 1 on bottom, and 2 on the sides. You have to pinch those. And as you're pinching those, I use a little flathead. As you're pinching those, you'll be able to slide this box this way just enough to unclip it. So you said you gotta kind of pinch these guys. And it kind of pops loose. Once you get the first 2, you gotta kind of wiggle it, work it out a little bit here. It's just a little bit too tight. It's hitting the overflow reservoir, so 10 millimeter, 2 bolts. I use it on my 90-degree ratchet. A little faster, but you can also use a 10 millimeter socket if you like. So we're gonna take these 2 bolts out, set them here. Should be able to lift this guy just enough to give us a little bit more room to pop this lower housing out. Okay, we got it. All right, so that was you used a little force there, but I don't think there's any way possible to get that lower housing out without removing the 2 bolts for the overflow reservoir for the radiator. So you can see we got it out there. So now we're just gonna pull it out. It should just come right out now. Okay, cool. All right, so now you guys can see the opening. All right, this hole is really important for fitment, lining up, which I'll show you as we go along. Okay, now we're gonna take the pipe off, stock pipe, and we're completely out. All right, old intake is out. All right, guys, so before we install our new lower box for the JLT intake, there's a little rubber plug I was telling you about for fitment that goes into the body. This rubber plug has to go on here. So I just use a little flathead to pry this guy up, and then it pops off just like so. So you have to reuse this off the old lower housing for the air box, and that pops in there like that. All right, and that's all we need off the old lower air box. All right, guys, so I figured something out. Instead of trying to balance this and try to push, remove the old one and put the new one in, since there's not a lot of room, it's real tight, I got 2 zip ties, and I went right here onto this sensor right here, and I'm just gonna zip tie it up and out of the way, because it's hard to fight this while I'm also trying to put the air box in. So now that we got that out of the way, all right, so we're just gonna put this air box in like so. So we have to line up that little rubber piece, make sure. You gotta kind of put your finger down there to find where it goes in the slot. It's a little tricky. Oh, there we go, kind of popped in. So you gotta kind of put your finger down here on the inside to find the hole where the rubber grommet goes into. But once you find it and you gotta push it in a little bit, then it's solid. All right, solid. All right guys, so now the lower box assembly's in. I'm gonna cut my zip tie. Remove that guy. Get that guy out of here. All right, put those two bolts back in. Make sure that's in there good and tight. Always double check your work. Never double check things too many times, especially with a car. You don't want to leave things loose. Issues. So we just put these two little 10mm bolts back in it. Close those guys in. Alright, so that's solid now. The lower box is in. Next step is there's a rubber gasket that seals the air for the inlet tube, which is right there. This guy. We're going to put this gasket over here. I'll show you guys how to do that. Let's see which one's those. Alright, so it does go a certain way. More of the gasket goes on the top, so it seals the box to the inlet tube. So we got that part. Alright, so just peel and stick on this guy. Whenever it does go in a certain way, just go around. Let's get sticky adhesive on the back side. Just gives it a better airflow, so you don't lose any airflow. Alright. Line this bolt up here. Alright guys, so we're going to reinstall that top bolt because this is going to be the only bolt that holds in the lower assembly. Get our 5/16 on a ratchet, or you can use a nut driver as well. Good and tight. Alright guys, so before we go any further, what we have to do is install our MAF sensor into our new JLT pipe. So it comes with a gasket and adapter, and you have to reuse the MAF sensor that's in the top housing. So basically, we're going to use our gasket. Don't forget the gasket, real important. So put the gasket behind the plate, okay? And then we're going to get our 4 Phillips screws that it comes with, provided. All right guys, so just be patient with this process because when you put the gasket on the backside, there's not a lot of meat left on the screws. So just be patient with it. You have to push it in a little bit to actually catch the threads on the pipe. So don't force it. There's enough meat to where once it catches, it's fine. But yeah, you just gotta be definitely patient with this step. But yeah, so you get all 4 in, just like, you know, hand tight. Then you go back over. So once you get them hand tight, we'll go back over. I like to do star pattern. Kind of gets it an even tightness all around. Don't want to go too tight though, guys, because you don't want to strip inserts out in the pipe, because then you'll have an issue there. Go back around one more time. Oops. So you don't want to go too tight. Once you feel it to get snug, that's good. Okay, and there you go. And then we pull the sensor out, twist counterclockwise, which is left. Wipe it off a little bit. All right, and then it should only go in the one way. So there is a little O-ring gasket here. You have to push it past, then it'll twist in. So yeah, just be patient with it. You don't want to rip that rubber. Yeah, so now you got a good seal right there. So you push it in. Once it gets past, you'll feel it lock in, and then you twist to the right, which is clockwise. So that part is done. All right, guys, we got to run our MAP sensor wire harness through a little hole right here. Comes with a rubber gasket. There. Actually, put it through first. Put it around. Then pop it in. There you go. Alright, so that's it right there. Alright guys, next step is putting the pipe in and the filter last, and then running the tube. Alright, so there's probably different ways of doing it. Sure. See the other clamp. So put both clamps on there. And make sure that the actual 5/16 part is accessible to tighten. Alright guys, so the rubber coupler was fighting me a little bit, but I did get it on. What I found that works is I just put it on a table like this and just kind of pushed it, worked it on, and then you want to make sure it's flush. Go up all the way until it hits the edge there. And now we got that on. We'll throw our clamp on. Make sure you make these accessible, like I said. So we got that. Now the other clamp. Now, so we should probably tighten this down first, huh? Let's do that. 5/16. Alright, so that's on there, good and tight. Put the other clamp on. Okay, so now I know we're gonna have to leave it kind of loose right now on the throttle body. We can tighten it after. Make sure it's lined up, because I know getting the filter on, we're gonna have to wiggle. Make sure you loosen up the on this guy. Or wait. So I'm pretty sure we have to cock this thing up like this. The filter goes on. Recock it and kind of push it down. Get it in its groove here. And it's home. Kind of wiggle it in there. Once it's in there, it's in there. You want it tight, you don't want it moving around, so. When we are flush up against the throttle body, I like to check all the way around the throttle body. Alright. Tighten your clamp down, throttle body. Okay, that's tight. Tighten your clamp on your filter. Okay. Plug the mouth sensor in here. Alright. Alright, so far so good. Alright guys, so now we're going to put the breather hose on here. So push this guy in. Be careful. We don't want to break our sensor. Push it all the way as far as we'll go. Alright. And then route this here. So go to this grommet. And spin it to where it's not pulling. So, push that in. All right, guys, so last step, now that you have a JLT intake, which looks beautiful, you have an exposed filter, right? So you have your heat, what do they call it, the heat? Heat something. Lets all the heat out of the engine. You have two 10mm bolts here. This is just a extra protection from the rain. So we're gonna install this guy here. So first we're gonna remove two 10mm bolts, make sure you don't lose them. Now it is a tight fit, so we're gonna have to, it's only gonna go in one way. can't put it in the other way. So it's gonna go in this way with this tab up here. So we're gonna push it underneath the heat shield, and then we'll get this first bolt in. We're not gonna tighten it all the way down, so that way we can line up the secondary one. Okay, that one's in and tight. Now, line this out. You kind of gotta shift it over here. Pull it over a little bit. Bolt up. A couple threads on it. All right, there you are.
So wrapping things up here, guys, if you are looking to make more power, more sound out of your Hellcat, and let's face it, who isn't, then you should definitely consider the JLT intake right here at AmericanMuscle.com.